welcome to Good Grief, the podcast dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing grief with compassion and humor. I'm Nikki. I'm an end-of-life doula and a grief coach in Columbus, Ohio. A very, very Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate, and to those of you who do not, Happy Sunday. I wanted to do a special little reading today. This really doesn't have a whole lot to do with grief, but it's something I have been reading. It came across in my feed back in the day of nothing but blogs. When I read nothing but blogs all the time, that was kind of all we had in the early intertube days. And something that came across a feed I was reading one day, and it gets reposted year after year around this time. And it's a beautiful story, and I just wanted to share it with you. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Okay, so this is The White Envelope as told by Nancy W. Gavin. It's just a small white envelope stuck among the branches of our Christmas tree. No name, no identification, no inscription. It has peeked through the branches of our tree for the past 10 years or so. It all began because my husband Mike hated Christmas. Not the true meaning of Christmas, but the commercial aspects of it, overspending, the frantic running around at the last minute, trying to get a tie for Uncle Henry and the dusting powder for Grandma. The gifts given in desperation because you couldn't think of anything else. Knowing he felt this way, I decided one year to bypass the usual shirts, sweaters, ties, and so forth. I reached for something special just for Mike. The inspiration came in an unusual way. Our son Kevin, who was 12 that year, was wrestling at the junior level at the school he attended. And shortly before Christmas, there was a non-league match against a team sponsored by an inner-city church. These youngsters, dressed in sneakers so ragged that the shoestrings seemed to be the only thing holding them together, presented a sharp contrast to our boys in their spiffy blue and gold uniforms and sparkling new wrestling shoes. As the match began, I was alarmed to see that the other team was wrestling without headgear, the kind of light helmet designed to protect a wrestler's ears. It was a luxury the ragtag team obviously could not afford. Well, we ended up walloping them. We took every weight class, and as each of their boys got up from the mat, he swaggered around in his tatters with false bravado, a kind of street pride that couldn't acknowledge defeat. Mike, seated beside me, shook his head sadly. "I wish just one of them would have won," he said. "They have a lot of potential, but losing like this could just take the heart right out of them." Mike loved kids, all kids. And he knew them, having coached Little League football, baseball, and lacrosse. That's when the idea for his present came. That afternoon, I went to a local sporting goods store and bought an assortment of wrestling gear, headgear, and shoes and sent them anonymously to the inner-city church. On Christmas Eve, I placed the envelope on the tree, the note inside telling Mike what I had done and that this was his gift from me. His smile was the brightest thing about Christmas that year, and in each succeeding years. For each Christmas, I followed the tradition. One year sending a group of mentally handicapped youngsters to a hockey game. Another year a check to a pair of elderly brothers whose home had burned to the ground the week before Christmas, and on and on. The envelope became the height of our Christmas. It was always the last thing opened on Christmas morning, and our children, ignoring their new toys, would stand wide-eyed with anticipation as their dad lifted the envelope from the tree to reveal its contents. As the children grew, the toys gave way to more practical presents, but the envelope never lost its allure. The story doesn't end there. You see, we lost Mike last year due to dreaded cancer. When Christmas rolled around, I was still so wrapped up in grief that I barely got the tree up. But Christmas Eve found me placing an envelope on the tree, and in the morning it was joined by 3 more. Each of our children, unbeknownst to the others, had placed an envelope on the tree for their dad. The tradition has grown and will someday expand even further with our grandchildren standing to take down the envelope. Mike's spirit, like the Christmas spirit, will always be with us. So that's the story. I got a little choked up. So the story was originally published in 1982 on December 14th in an issue of Women's Day magazines by Nancy Gavin. It was a first-place winner of 1,000 entries in the magazine's My Most Moving Holiday Tradition contest. Whew. So that was all I wanted to read to you. I mean, it does kind of have to do with grief a little bit at the end there, but don't all things. I just thought that was a beautiful story, and I love sharing it with anybody that I can. And it's one of those traditions I keep trying to convince everybody else to try. I know my parents are always stuck with gifts for me, and I'm like, just make a donation to something, that I would appreciate in my name. And well, you know how it is. But I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope wherever you are, you're having a beautiful day. And if you are celebrating Christmas, I hope it's a beautiful holiday with your loved ones. And if you're not, I hope you're just having a beautiful day. Sit back and think of something kind you could give to the world today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day and a good rest of your year, well, how little of it is left. And just remember, your grief is yours, your feelings are valid, and grief doesn't always have to suck.